Imagine yourself healthy. And I'm not talking about running an 8-minute mile or deadlifting twice your body weight. I mean, you can sit with someone and not compare your life to theirs. You can walk through an open house and not covet that home. Your boss can give you harsh feedback and you feel no offense. Imagine you are now a person who doesn't feel pressure. Sure, you want to live your life well, but you don't feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. You don't have too much to do in too little time. You're not driven by fear. Imagine you're free from people's criticism and praise. You love people, but their opinions don't make or break you. You can interact with others with ease and a kind confidence. You are not judgmental of others, or their judgments don't hurt you either. Imagine yourself without anxiety or stress. You are okay. Not rushing, just doing one thing at a time and enjoying your day. You're not preoccupied or distracted. Imagine being deeply connected to the source of life. Sure that you are in the right place at the right time each day. Imagine that you are healthy, living and leading and feeling good from the inside out, joyful, patient, loving, kind. You keep your word to yourself and others. We are wrapping up our series, Aesthetic, where we are looking at what is underneath the surface in our lives. It's what's underneath the surface of our lives that does actually really matter. It's now the end of this series, and the goal was that on the inside, we would be looking more and more like Jesus by the end of this series. So the final question for us in this series is, what does the inner life of Jesus look like? An author and Bible teacher who has meant a lot to me was named Dallas Willard. I never got to meet him before he passed away, but he continues to mentor me through his books and talks. One of my favorite stories about him was from a student of his named Bill. They were meeting in his office on the USC campus where he was a professor, and Dallas asked Bill a question. If you had one word to describe Jesus, what would it be? Bill had no idea what to say. Like me, Dallas Willard was a hero of his, someone he greatly admired, and Bill didn't want to get this wrong. One word to describe Jesus. Should he say love, compassion, holy, Lord, teacher, risen, healer? Dallas waited really patiently, unhurried. Finally, Bill just asked Dallas back, what word do you use to describe Jesus? Dallas looked him in the eyes, smiled, and said, relaxed. Relaxed. Jesus was relaxed. He moved through his life unhurried, embracing the limits of his humanity, releasing responsibility for the things he could not do because he could only be in one place at a time. The fate of all humankind, past, present, future, depended on Jesus successfully completing his mission. And yet he was relaxed. How was Jesus, with the actual weight of the world on his shoulders, relaxed? Well, he was deeply connected to God's love for him and God's constant presence with him. He often described to his friends that he was surrounded by God's love, fully immersed in it, and he reminded them that they were too. This is why he said things like, I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. When you are completely sure that you are fully immersed in God's love, you can relax. So we have to ask the hard question, would someone describe me, you, as relaxed? Now, relaxed doesn't mean unproductive or lazy, meandering, sleeping all day, because that's not the pattern we see in Jesus' life. Jesus was moving and teaching and healing and making friends and making trouble and making a difference, and yet he was relaxed. And we were made to follow the pattern of his life. In Romans, it says, God knew what he was doing from the very beginning. He decided from the outset to shape the lives of those who love him along the same lines as the life of his son. The Son stands first in the line of humanity he restored, and we see the original intended shape of our lives there in him. The original and intended shape of our lives is to be relaxed, connected to God's love for us and God's constant presence with us. This comes from a healthy inner life. We spend so much time working on the outside of our lives, but it's the foundation and the connection from the inside that matters. We can get good at doing the right things, but if we don't know how to be deeply connected to God, when the pressure goes up, when we lead at higher levels, when emergencies happen, the stress will do us damage. I was reading a book called Emotionally Healthy Leader by Pete Scazzero, and it talks a lot about our inner lives. In it, he uses the metaphor of how they build skyscrapers and to demonstrate why it's so important for us to work on our inner lives, to let ourselves be shaped from the inside out. See, he points out that the island of Manhattan is almost entirely made of granite. And when they make skyscrapers, builders use foundation anchors called piles. It's the first thing they do. Piles are concrete or steel columns that get hammered into the ground and into the solid rock. And so especially for tall buildings, some piles are driven 25 stories below ground. Many piles are driven in, and then this allows the heavy weight of the skyscraper to be distributed through each of them. If the foundation piles are drilled and driven in poorly, cracks will eventually appear in the structure. Buildings may lean, windows get stuck, floors start to slant. Sometimes they have to lift up the building so the piles can be reset, or even the entire building has to be torn down so they can start over and do the foundations right. The piles, the foundation, is our inner life. If we try to build without a deep connection to the foundation of life, we will lean and crack. Jesus was talking to a group of leaders who were like many of us, working hard to be good, to live up to expectations, to be successful in each other's eyes. And Jesus just said, wait, you guys are missing the point. If in your deepest heart, if when you are alone, scared, quiet, if in your soul, in your foundation, you are a mess, it does not matter what your life looks like from the outside. He says, you must first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside also will be clean. He's saying, if the inside of you is clean, then the outside will be too. But if you let the inside get to be a mess, it doesn't matter what the outside is like. So what do we do to clean the inside of our cup, the inside of our lives? Remind yourself regularly that you are immersed in God's love and presence. This is not something that we can remind ourselves of like once a week for 30 minutes and then be strong and clean the rest of the week. This is an everyday activity. And so how do we do it? We build rhythms into our lives. Why was Jesus so relaxed? He had rhythms. We need to practice what's called Sabbath. Practice delighting in God and just being alive for 24 hours each week. A good tip is if you think for a living, right? So if your job is I have to sit and think, include something physical in your Sabbath day, your rest day. Go for a walk. And if you have to move around a lot for a living, include something mental. Lay down, read a book. And then schedule prayer times in each day. 5 minutes twice a day, where you sit and breathe and remember you are immersed in God's love and presence. Anytime you start to feel stressed, your jaw is clenched, you feel short of breath, your shoulders are up, put them down. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself, remain in God's love, just like Jesus did. We work so hard to be competent and good, but we have to start with the foundation, our inner selves, so that we can grow into the people we are meant to be, lead our families, our careers, our lives well, and not crack under the stress. Imagine being described as relaxed. Imagine you are a person who doesn't feel pressure. You don't feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. You don't have too much to do in too little time. You're free from people's opinions. You love people, but their words don't make or break you. You can interact with ease and confidence. You are okay. Not rushing, not stressing, just doing one thing at a time and enjoying the day. You're not preoccupied or distracted. You are deeply connected to the source of life. You are in the right place at the right time. From the inside out, you are joyful, patient, loving, kind. If you want to grow into someone who accomplishes great things for God and in your life, you must first relax into someone who trusts God for great things and great love. Thank you for being a part of this series with us. Go back and watch each of the parts in this playlist, but I want to just end with praying that you would feel more relaxed. God, thank you so much for demonstrating for us what it looks like to be fully human, that we can fully trust that you are God and we are not, that we can rest in that knowledge, that we can take a full day a week and just delight in being alive, that we can take time each day to remind ourselves that you are in charge, that we can remain in your love, that we have your love and your presence at all times. Please help us to make a practice of relaxing so that we can look more and more like Jesus. Because Jesus, we know that you want grace and relaxation and joy in our lives for us. I pray that for each person listening today. And I get to pray in Jesus' name. Amen.